So these are pop and twist cards, or twist and pop cards, aren't they? I've just used DSP on mine this afternoon when I was making them this afternoon, because I love this DSP so much that I thought I'd just showcase it on these cards. And also, to be perfectly fair, I don't have the stamp set and the punch that I could have used to go with it. So, but look at it, isn't it beautiful? So this is one of them, and I just did the happy birthday. I was trying to work out whether I could get happy birthday to span across the whole thing, and I think I've done it okay. But look at these wonderful papers, they're so cool. So that's one of them that I've done. And then I've done this one. Look at that, this little scene. I'm very happy with these. All right. So, let me put these away for a minute. So there is going to be lots of measuring, cutting and scoring. All right, so I warn you now, Fran. So I'm going to be checking my measurements because you know what I'm like sometimes. I'm a bit eager with my measurements. Okay. So you need a piece of card that's your card base, and you're also going to need another little bit to go inside. So the bit that is the card base is the orange bit in this card. So it's the main base and then this panel bit. All right. So I'm going to use Pretty Peacock, and we're going to cut it at 5.5 by 11 inches. All right. I am going to mix my measurements. I'll try very hard to give you full warning. So it's 5.5 by 11 inches. All right. So 5.5 by 11. And then once you've cut that at 5.5 by 11, you're going to score it at 5.5. So basically you could fold it in half if you want to, but or score it. So you're going to score it at 5.5. So that's your fold for your card. All right. Hopefully you've all got your bone folders, because we're going to need to do a bit of creasing. All right, so that's 5.5 by 11, and then scored at 5.5. All right. So the next bit we're going to cut is the panel. So it's this strip here. Oops, sorry, put it right in the frame. This strip here. All right. This is in centimetres, I'm sorry. So this is 9 centimetres. Nine centimetres by 26 centimetres. So it's 9 centimetres by 26 centimetres. All right. So your card base was 5.5 by 11. And this is 26 by 9 centimetres. Now we're going to score this whilst it's in your hand. All right. And we're going to score it 3 times with the long side at the top. And we're going to score it at 6.5. Six and a half. 13. Oh, nearly cut. I'm so worried I'm going to cut rather than score. 13. So 6.5, 13, and 19.5. All right, so you've got 4 score lines. You're going to make it fold so it's like a zigzag. All right, I think they're called mountain and valleys, aren't they? So 2 mountains, 1 valley. And give that a really good crease. So there's measurements again. You're scoring at 6.5, 13 centimetres and 19.5 centimetres. And you'll get something like that. So now what I'm going to cut, now I don't know how you're doing your card or what you're using for your card. If you're planning on stamping your front panel, then you're going to want this piece of paper that is my DSP, you're going to want it in, I'm assuming, white cardstock. And then the bit that we're going to cut now is your coordinating cardstock that you'd probably have in a colour that goes with your cards, whereas I'm using white cardstock to mat my DSP onto, because I like the way it made it stand out. So if you're using a stamp set for the front of your card, then you're going to need to do that in white, but the bit that we're going to cut out now will be your coordinating cardstock. But as I said, I'm using white. Okay, hope that makes sense. And this bit is a 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 square. Okay, so 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So that will sit on the front of the card. Now while we're doing that, we're going to cut 2 more 5 1/4 squares, and they're going to go inside. So again, depending how you're going to do your inside, I've used DSP, I'm using white again, but this will be your coordinating cardstock. All right, so 2 more 5 1/4 squares. Which way is my 5 1/4? That way. Another 5 1/4. And 5 1/4. All right, so at the moment I've got 3 5 1/4 squares. So basically we're going to cut everything up, and then we're going to put together, and then we're going to work on the mechanism to make it pop. All right. Okay, so now we're going to need, again, depending how you're doing it, we're going to have 4 panels that are going to go on here. Again, I've matted mine in white, so that is my coordinating cardstock. So I'm going to cut mine in white again, and they are 8.5 by 6 centimetres, and you're going to want 4 of them. All right, so 8.5 by 6. Now I don't know if that's big enough. It's not, annoyingly. So 8.5 by 6 4 times. My daylight lamp is reflecting off my cutter. I can't see very well. So 8.5 by 6. Eight and a half by 6. Oopsie. I need one more. Oh, that looks like that might be 8.5. Is it 8.5? No! Is that 8.5? Yes. Okay. Using scraps. So 8.5 by 6. So you've got 4 pieces of paper or cardstock or whatever it is you're using that are going to sit on these panels with a bit of a border. Okay, now I'm going to cut up DSP. So again, if you're stamping on the front of your card or inside your card, Two things to think about with that, actually. If you're going to stamp on the front, I might want to stamp it before you stick it on the front, because obviously it's not going to be a flat surface. But as I said, I'm doing DSP. You might want to think that through a little bit. All right, now this is going to be my front of my cardigan, and so I'm now cutting, well, actually I can show you the proper one because it's this one. This panel of DSP here, all right? And this is 5 inches by 5 inches. All right, so however you're doing it. So 5 inches, I don't want to get rid of all my fishies. Oh, got rid of quite a few. 5 inches by 5 inches. Okay, and actually if you're going to do anything like what I'm doing, if you're doing DSP here and here, then you need another 2 5-inch squares. Oh, what was I doing with mine? I was going to use, I know what I was doing. So again, I'm going to cut another 2 5-inch squares with my DSP. Oops. So just going to cut everything up, and then we're going to stick it all together, and then we will work on the business side of the card to make it actually pop and twist. So this is a 5-inch square. Cut a little bit off the bottom. Has anybody else got this whale of a time paper? Because it's so fun. Okay. Ooh. Oh dear, I've just dropped everything on the floor. Hang on a minute as I reach. So the last bit, I've got two more bits to cut out, but the second to last bit to cut out is for what I'm doing, the DSP that's going to sit on the white panels. I think you do. It's so fun. So these DSPs here, panels of DSP to sit on the popping panel bits, and they are, so you might want to write this one down because it's more intricate. It's an 8.2 by 5.8. So it's 2 millimeters less than the panel. Okay, so I'm gonna do some turtles. So it's 8.2 by 5.8. If you've got anything that's like mine that is actually needs to be the right way round, you need to cut it at 5.8 and then turn it to 8.2, if that makes sense. So that you're, well, in my case, my turtles are the right way round. So that's 8.2 by 5.8, and we're going to do that 4 times. I'm going to do 2 different ones. So 5.8. Look at those cute turtles. My goodness. I'll show you the rest of the paper in a minute, Fran. 8.2. And then I'm going to use an orange. Do you want to see the back? Oh, fun. So 5.8. 8.2. One more time, but I need 4. 5.8 by 8.2. All right, so now you've got 4 little panels of DSP in my case. I'm going to alternate them. Got one more thing to cut out, but I might do that in a minute actually, because that is the bit that makes it pop. So I'm going to stick one of my panels of DSP, and I want this one to go on the front of my card. All right, I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal. Ooh. Sorry, I was crafting and not telling you what I was doing. So I'm going to now stick this to the front of my card. So I've matted it onto white, and I'm going to stick it on my card front. Easy peasy. I'm going to do the same with the other 2 squares. Okay. Has anybody made one of these cards before? Because they have been around for quite some time. I remember making one quite a while ago. I only made one, but I did enjoy it when I made it. It was so clever. And do you know what the most fun thing is? That Steve even thought it was clever. I quite like that. He was like, how did you make that? I was like, well, that'll be telling. It's paper craft magic. Okay, so I've now mounted the DSP onto my white cardstock, and I'm going to stick that inside my card. Again, however you're doing yours. So I'm going to put the base. Look at that paper! Oh, sorry. It's just the best. Okay, so remember today, ladies, as well, that it is free postage day, free P&P day from Stamping Up. So, and it's on orders of over £35. But if my local people who I can deliver to or who can pick up from me wanted to put a few together, a few little orders together to make over £35, I'm happy to place that order and then to deliver to you guys. But obviously, if it involves me posting it, then you save nothing, because I'd have to charge you for the postage from me to you. But if it can involve popping to my house or me popping to your house, we're good. Okay, so this is what mine's looking like at the moment. Card front, matted onto white cardstock. And then I've got 2 inside, looking like a sea scene, which is very cool. Okay, so if you've done that, and you're probably all ahead of me now, that I'm going to mount this DSP onto these white panels, and then they're going to go on the bit that's going to pop. All right. Oh, so I see what you mean, Charity. So you've tried at a class before to do it. Yeah, I think once you get the hang of it, it's fine. And if you measure relatively accurately, it's that. I think that is the bit that's a bit more difficult. But we'll take it slow. We'll all create something, whether it works, you just have to put it down to experience and try again. I've cut this one a bit big. Oh. Excuse me while I try to release my turtles, so I've decided to really stick. Let go. I did not cut that one very well. Oh my days. Oh, I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that. That doesn't look good. All right. Now my DSP is mounted onto my white cardstock. And now I'm going to position them on this panel. All right. Hard to see on dark cardstock. One. Last one for me. All right, don't be scared by this. It's easy, just paper and folds, that's all it is. Joe, Fran, lovely. Okay, so I'm doing this in white, which I think is probably the best. It doesn't really matter. You're hopefully not going to see it, so I would do it in white if I were you. So this piece does this, but let's cut it to start with. So again, I'm going to find some more white. All right, so the basic piece is 9 centimeters by 20 centimeters. All right, so it's 9 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Now this is the time when you're going to have to check your measurements and you're going to have to check your cutting straight. This is the bit that's really going to matter, all right? So check your measurements. So we're doing 9 centimeters by 20 centimeters. All right. I'm going to do it slowly, take you all through it step by step. So it's 9 centimeters by 20 centimeters, all right? All right, so now we're going to do our first score line, which is right down the middle here, so long ways. So that's at 4 1/2. So in half. So you're 9 centimeters at the top, and you're going to score it at 4 1/2, making sure it's straight. Don't cut it. I'm so sure I'm going to cut it at some point. So give it a good score. All right, so that's 4 1/2. That's our first score line. And then once you've scored it right down the middle that way, we're going to score it down the middle this way. So that's at 10 centimeters. All right, so 4 1/2 lengthways and 10 centimeters this way. All right. So burnish those folds once you've scored those, all right? And hopefully you should have it pretty exact. They match up. You can tell it. Give it a really good burnish as well. Make sure that it's going to fold easily. So on both score marks. Okay. Now you're going to need a ruler and a pencil. So once you've done those 2 scores and burnished it, you're going to measure in 5.5 centimetres from each side. So 5.5 in here. If I show you on here, you'll be able to see it. 5.5 there, 5.5 in there, 5.5 there, 5.5 there. All right, make a pencil mark. So 5.5 centimetres from the edge towards the middle. Getting blinded by my light. Ugh. Again, this needs to be accurate. Five and a half centimetres. Now, we are going to score on a diagonal. So you're going to join up your two 5.5s that are opposite. All right, and we're going to score. So if you're using your trimmer, you're going to line it up and it's going to go right. So your score is going to go through the centre of the cross of the other score lines. Takes a bit of concentration doing it in diagonal. I hope mine works. And then when you've done those two score lines, you're going to burnish them on those fold lines. I keep saying the wrong words. Fold lines, score lines. Give it a good burnish. So once you're there, it just takes a little bit of, so you want these sort of triangle-y bits to go in and it to come down so it looks like a house. All right, so push. I think there's a way of doing it. I think if you push, they'll go in really easy, but basically if they don't, just squeeze them in. So you've got what looks like a house. All right, and then we're going to give that a good fold. Keep everything folded. Check that it all looks pretty equal. Okay, so you get a house to begin with. And once you've got your house, holding it upwards so that it looks like mine, you're going to fold one side across the other. All right, and then you're going to turn it over and you're going to fold that one back on itself. So now you've got this sort of shape. So let me put it back to the beginning. I'll show you again. So you've got your house. You fold this one over on itself, then you turn the whole thing over and you fold this side back on itself. So now it's like this. And again, I'm going to give everything a good squish. So where it's going to, so it is going to now, I'm putting my sleeves up, I'm getting ready. So the pointy bit is going to go Just making sure I've got this right before I tell you what to do. Yes. So it is going to butt right up to the fold. Fran, I am impressed. We'll make you a measurer, a lover of measuring yet. All right. So I'm going to use Tombow. So I'm going to put Tombow just on the triangle, just on this bit, okay? I expect it will work with runner, but it's probably not as strong. Just don't put too much because you don't want it to be oozing out everywhere. Because then that's going to make your card stick together and that's not going to work. All right, so it make sure you can open and close your card. And it needs to be middle-ish. I'm sure panel's not going to pop out. And then you're going to put some more Tombow on the top triangle that's now in your card. And you're going to close your card onto it. Now, from what the lady was saying, this is how hers differs to how she puts it together. So to see what you think. So we're going to give it a little while just to stick. I mean, if you've used runner, yours will be instant, but Tombow's takes a little bit longer. All right. Now, if you're happy that it's stuck, you can open it out, and it should open out like that. So it closes, and it opens. So the last bit to do, and I suppose in some respects is the most important little bit, is to attaching this panel. Now the way I found easiest is to fold the two ends back on itself so you can see where you are, basically. So this panel and this white piece of card is the exact same length, 9 centimeters. All right, so you want it to be on top of it exactly, but you want it to be mine doesn't look exactly the same, centralized. All right, so equal amount left. There's like, I don't know how much, but you know how to make something centralized. Now when you look at it, you can see that you've got basically two squares separated by a score line. You're going to put glue on the right hand side top square. All right, just the top square. And then you're going to fold your panel out, keeping hold of it so it's in the same place as you just made it central. You're going to stick it on top. Ah, I've just moved it. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then on the other side, on your left hand side, you're going to put glue on the bottom square. And again, open up your panel and stick it on. Now hopefully your panel is in the middle, and we'll just let that stick, because Tombow takes a little while to stick. Now, the proof will be in the closing. Okay, I think that's probably enough. Now, the first time you do it, you might need to give it a bit of a wiggle. So you want to make sure that it is going to fold in itself, and literally should just fold in on itself. If it doesn't, try and give the white bit a little bit of a shove. It should go. Obviously, these are not very flat cards. These are not going to go through the post in a, you know, a first-class stamp. You're going to have to use a large stamp, large letter stamp for this one. Pop. Isn't it fun? It's so clever and it's just paper. Who was that? Somebody else did it. Ah, I love it. I love it so much. So there you go. So I'm not going to do any great decorating or anything. That will be down to you guys to do however you want on your cards. Right, I'm going to go. Thank you. Bye.